Along the same vein that the minister's warmed up, when the Premier was running for leadership of his party, he said property rights would be the top of his priority list. Since then, all landowners have seen as a trumped-up Bill 1 and not a whole lot else. Bill 36 continues to be a gross infringement of property rights, giving the government the hammer over lease agreements and landowner rights. The Premier personally signed a promise to review Bill 36 months ago, but there is still no progress. When can we expect this review to be completed?
Honourable Minister of the Environment.
Mr. Speaker, again, the Alberta Land Stewardship Act is an important tool as part of our integrated resource management system, of which we need to make sure that we're utilizing the landscapes, the airsheds, the watersheds, and maintaining the biodiversity in this province so that we can get the social license to develop our natural resources. Mr. Speaker, this is an important tool that we continue to implement through the regional planning process, and this government is committed to that.
Supplemental, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Centralized planning hasn't worked in Eastern Europe, and it won't work here. If the Premier doesn't fulfill his promise to review Bill 36, which concentrates power in the hands of the PC Cabinet, limits rights to compensation for landowners, and blocks access to the courts for citizens, does he expect landowners to be okay with no review, no action, and no repeal of Bill 36?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, again, I need to reiterate the message. I guess the honourable member isn't quite understanding this. The Alberta Land Stewardship Act is an incredibly important piece of legislation for developing the province's resources. It's the foundation of which our integrated resource management system is based off of which we can go out confidently to the world and say we're responsible developers of our resources. Mr. Speaker, that's vitally important to the economy, it's vitally important to our communities, and it's vitally important to Albertans who care about protecting and enhancing our environment.
Thank you. Final supplemental, honourable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With draconian legislation like Bill 2 and Bill 24 still taking away the rights of landowners, can anyone expect this government to actually do meaningful work to protect property rights like repealing these bills, or will they just give more lip service and broken promises on the eve of an election?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I've said before, there is no one that has a better track record on protecting private property rights than our Premier. He has a track record and a reputation in this particular area, and there's no one that has a better record in understanding how to balance the development of our natural resources with the environmental consequences of that. This is what this piece of legislation tries to balance in the Alberta Land Stewardship Act, and it's a very important piece to be able to get access to markets for our resources.